Good morning, and hope you're all surviving this heat. So you're all melting. I thought I'd be really good this morning and get up early and go for a run because I thought it might be cooler. But actually, it was a really stupid idea because I came back absolutely bright red and I was boiling. But at least I got my run out of the way. I am really looking forward to talking to today's guest, another lady that I've met on social media. Judi Craddock is the founder of Heart Your Body, and she is a body confidence coach and a body positive advocate. And it's a subject that I am really passionate about, so we have got lots to talk about this morning. Good morning, Judi.
Morning, Rachel. Morning. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. And it's once again, we've made this connection on Twitter.
That's right.
Twitter gets quite a bad rap, actually, I think. But for our age group, I've met so many fantastic women through that side of social media.
Yeah, I have, absolutely. And I think it's really great for making connections with other people in your field, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's been great I've met so many sort of organizations involved with women in midlife through Twitter as well. So I've really enjoyed being on there. I found it a positive experience.
So if somebody doesn't know about you, how do you describe yourself, Judi?
So I describe myself as I'm a body image coach specializing in helping women. And I work with women who are fed up wasting their life trying to achieve the perfect body. And what I do is I help them to embrace the body that they're in so that they get back their time, their energy and their headspace to focus on the things that matter most to them.
Fantastic. How did you get to this point where you realised this is what you wanted to do as a career? Because I guess coaching and life coaching and body confidence coaching is still fairly quite a new thing, isn't it, in this country?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a straightforward answer to your question because I had a whole nother career before I started on this path. But I started Heart Your Body 6 years ago because I was just really saddened by seeing so many amazing, capable women hold themselves back from living a fulfilling life because of the way that they felt about their bodies. And my desire to help women in this area is really grounded in my own personal experience of poor body image. So, yes, so I was someone who struggled with my body image really from childhood right through to for much of my adult life as well.
Yeah, and I think so many women can relate to that. I'm the same. I didn't really feel comfortable in my own skin and enjoy my body until I started kind of reach my 40s. And I look back now and I think, gosh, I wasted so many opportunities and stopped myself from doing stuff because I was worried about what other people thought about how I looked and what about my body. And it's so many women are the same, aren't they?
They are. I mean, for me, I sort of reached a turning point about the age of 35. And I'd actually just come out of a relationship, a failed relationship. And unfortunately, it was emotionally abusive as well. And it was, my partner used to pick on my appearance, probably because he could sense that I didn't feel totally comfortable with it anyway. And that was really the turning point for me. And I just was fed up of feeling kind of unlovable, unworthy, and just not good enough.
So how did you get yourself out of that? How did you turn yourself around into changing the way you think?
Well, I know it might sound a bit dramatic, but I really think coaching saved me. It was around about the time that I was about to come out of that difficult relationship that I was in that I sort of discovered coaching. And it was through the process of having a coach myself and then deciding to train as a coach myself that it really helped me to, change the way that I saw my body and helped me to kind of pull myself out of that very difficult spot that I found myself in at the age of 35, feeling like the bottom had dropped out of my life.
Yeah.
So I think it was that whole experience of being coached for the first time and going through the process of the training, because when you do the training, it does require you to sort of do a deep dive and really clear out a lot of the stuff that has been holding you back so that you can help your clients to do the same.
Do you think women are getting better at talking about this lack of body confidence?
Well, it certainly seems that way to me. And I think social media, it sort of has its pluses and minuses, doesn't it? It gives people a platform and an opportunity and communities to sort of share about these sorts of things. but it also can be a difficult place as well if you suffer from body anxiety, because there's so much stuff on social media that could be really triggering.
Yeah.
So I think social media helps with that. And without those platforms, I'm not sure whether there would be as many women kind of talking about it, sharing their experiences and trying to help each other through it.
Mm. And what kind of age group do you deal with? Have you got a real wide range, or is it a particular age group that's most common?
My client group, they tend to be, they're women in their sort of mid to late 30s.
Mm.
And they're kind of that group of women who I would say they may have struggled quite a lot with body image for a lot of their life. I guess they're kind of like me, like I was. Yeah. It'd been a sort of a lifelong issue. And they kind of get to a point in their 30s where quite often having a child might be a trigger. And it makes the body concerns worse, because suddenly, you know, when you have a child, your body, it's going to change, and that's the way it is. And that's what it's supposed to do. So that's a trigger for them. And one of the things, like most of my clients have said to me, a big trigger for working on my body image is the thought that the concerns I have about my own body, I'm going to pass those down to my children. Oh, yeah. So it's kind of like a complete wake-up call. It's like, you know, I've had this issue for a long time. I really need to do something about this, because I'm really concerned about the impact it's going to have on my children. So
that's so true. That's so, you don't even think about that, but that's so true. How we talk and how we talk about our own bodies has such an impact on the next generation, doesn't it?
It is. And I mean, sadly, poor body image can be passed down from generation to generation. So it wasn't actually my case. My mother didn't have a poor body image. That wasn't really how it started for me. But certainly, you know, if you've got a mother who's very critical of her body, her mother probably was, and her mother before her, and it just gets passed down. So it's important to break that chain, really, so that it doesn't keep passing down.
So how do we get to this point? Because I think probably nearly every woman I talk to at some point has struggled with body confidence issues.
Yeah.
And it just shouldn't be happening, and it's still happening. And how can we start making changes in society to get to the point where this is not an issue? Where do you start? Because it's still a big problem, isn't it?
It is a big issue. I mean, I think if I think back to my own experiences and the clients that I've worked with, and, you know, the women that I've come across, almost always, when you peel back the layers of what is kind of behind the way they feel about their body, there will almost always be an incident or some series of incidents in their childhood that have kind of set them up for this. And then, you know, we do live in a culture which is still quite appearance obsessed, quite youth obsessed. And so, you know, even if you want to have a better relationship with your body, and I say this to my clients, even though you feel much better now and you feel much more neutral about your body, just be aware that the environment we live in hasn't gone away. Yeah. So we live in that environment, which if you've already got some kind of issues or anxiety around your body, that can just make it worse. But I think what I say to people is, you know, we can blame our environment for so much, only so much. But essentially, we are part of the culture that we live in. So we have to take some personal responsibility for changing the narrative around bodies and be the change that we want to see.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's not joke about muffin tops and, you know, joke about our appearance in that way. Yeah. You know, yes, maybe it seems frivolous or funny, but that is part of the problem. The language that we're using, the fact that we're always talking about bodies, the fact that women are comparing themselves to each other and talking about each other's appearance behind their back and all that sort of thing, it really isn't helping. So, you know, yes, there's companies that have a lot to answer for in terms of the marketing tactics that they use or what is out there on social media. But unless we demand something different, we're just going to get more of the same. So we have to do that. We have to do that.
You're so right. I've noticed that in lockdown, and I'm sure loads of people have noticed the fact that, you know, there's so many jokes being around about people putting an extra 3 or 4 pounds on and muffin tops during lockdown, and, you know, goodness me, how they're going to get out in the world because they've put half a stone on. And it's about changing that narrative, isn't it?
It is. And it's like, really, we are in a global pandemic. Is that really the most important thing to worry about?
Yeah, exactly.
We're, you know, we could catch the virus and we could die, but people are worrying about putting on weight. And you know, it is part of that cultural conditioning that we have.
It's interesting you mentioned the word body neutral, because everybody assumes that to get to a place where you can feel comfortable in your skin, you have to be body confident every single day. And that's just not realistic, is it? So what does being body neutral actually look like, and what does that represent?
So to me, body neutral doesn't mean you have to like or love your body. You can just be okay with it. You don't really think about it that much. It certainly doesn't stop you from doing anything that you want to do with your life. It means that you don't kind of stop yourself from wearing whatever you want. You're not always thinking about your body. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you love or think it's fantastic. It's just, you know, you're probably not even thinking about it that much. It's just not a big issue to you. You have a body, you accept that it has a function, and that is more important than what it looks like. So it's just, I always think that body neutrality is sort of a much easier ask for women, you know, asking them to love their body when they absolutely hate it. And sadly, there are, you know, women who do dislike their body so much that they would describe it as they hate it. I just think it's far more accessible, and it is okay to dislike parts of your body, or that's fine. You know, it's really more the case that just because you dislike certain bits, or you're not bothered about them, or you feel that about them, as long as it doesn't stop you from getting on with your life. So I think that's the main thing.
Do you think we need to start right back at school education in talking about subjects like this with young girls and boys?
I certainly think it would help. I mean, interestingly, in the past, I have tried to get into schools. And I think the biggest part of the problem is they already have so much in the curriculum. It's another thing that they have to try and fit in. But I certainly think that, you know, if we were starting with children much younger and teaching them about kind of body image, what it means, body neutrality, body acceptance, if we were teaching them all these concepts and getting them to sort of be appreciative of a diversity of body types, and not sort of idolize the one very limited, narrow body type that we tend to do in our society, I certainly think that would help an awful lot. But it's kind of where they fit it in. So I guess it's another thing that falls to the parents, doesn't it? And you know, role modeling those behaviors that you kind of want your children to follow or emulate.
Have you seen a change since you first started coaching? Have you seen a change in society towards the better kind of representation of women and diversity, and that has such a huge impact on people's well-being?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's just a greater level of awareness, and I think that, you know, those industries that are often blamed for the issues that we have today around women and men suffering with poor body image, some of them are starting to take steps to include sort of a greater diversity of, say, models, which obviously you appreciate.
Yes.
You know all about. You know, sort of showing, and it's not to say that I don't like it when people say, oh, these skinny models, and start putting them down. You know, they're human beings. That's the way they are. That's their body. We have to accept their body type, but we also have to accept people who are in, you know, larger bodies as well. They're all bodies, and they're all fine the way they are, and they all need to be accepted and embraced. But I certainly think there's been more work in showing a diversity of body types, and that's not to say that we get rid of, you know, slim models altogether, because there are slim women.
Exactly.
So we need to, it's about that diversity. So there certainly have been some sort of fashion retailers that have done that. I think there's also been some beauty brands that have taken a sort of a more responsible approach to promoting their products, maybe have talked about the more experiential aspect of their products, and not trying to use sort of insecurity to sell their products. So I think there have been some changes, but there's probably still a long way to go.
How do people take this first step? Because it's such a it can be such a big real issue to lots
Yeah.
of people, and it's overwhelming, and so you have to really
Yes.
dig deep to get yourself kind of on track. How do you
Yes.
even start? Can you recommend any small tips and steps that people
Yeah.
can start to take that first step?
Yeah. I mean, I think the first step is, and I think it's important not to put so much pressure on yourself to do something really big, what seems something really big. And as soon as something seems really big, it seems insurmountable and unachievable. So the first step is just to say to yourself, I really want to work on this. I want to work on having a better body image. That is the first step, like the commitment to it. And then what I sometimes get women to do is to think, first of all, about what one thing would they like to start doing in terms of their body confidence? What one thing would they really like to start doing? What thing would they like to stop doing? So is there something, maybe it's constantly comparing their body, which they notice really makes them feel anxious. And then what is one thing that they would like to continue doing that would help their body confidence? So thinking about things that maybe they already do that they just haven't recognized have a positive impact on them.
Yeah.
So start with those 3 things and take it from there.
That's amazing advice. Thank you so much. How can people find you, Judi?
So you can find me on Twitter and Facebook. I'm at Heart Your Body UK. And also my website, the easiest way to find me is if you just type into your browser bodyconfidencecoach.co.uk and Heart Your Body will come up.
Thank you so much. It's been brilliant to talk to you this morning. I love it to make connections. And
absolutely.
I love seeing your posts. You really should follow Judi on Twitter because she just puts out such positive quotes and inspiration daily that always I just resonate with it, what you're saying. And it's so much more about appreciating all the great things our body does for us in being able to teach us where we are and what we're doing every day, and less thoughts about what we actually look like from the outside. So thank you for doing what you're doing. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much to me.
Thank you, Judi. Take care. Lovely to speak to you. Thank you. Bye. Well, honestly, that's I would really recommend following Judi, and she makes so much sense. And it is a really hard journey for lots of women. So there is advice and help out there. And I strongly recommend people working with a coach because I think it's life-changing. And I think somebody can really give you a different outlook on your life when you talk to somebody from the outside. So I hope you've enjoyed today's talk. And tomorrow I will be sharing Nicole Christine's Zestful Aging talk that we pre-recorded last week as she's in America. And it's A-level results day, so I'll be off hopefully getting my daughter's A-level results. So fingers crossed for that. So enjoy the rest of your day.